Welcome to the Working Man Committee Podcast. I am your host, Brandon T. Bringing you the news entertainment that you need, Working Man. And so, with that being said, let's go. So, I want to talk to y'all today about financial advice or financial recommendations. Like I said, if you look over the old social media and so forth, and you'll see abundance of advice. You know, over 2020, everybody was a financial guru back then, and so a lot of that stuff is washed out. And now we do what the financial advice is today. And so I want to compare and contrast. You know what I'm saying? Let y'all, you know what I'm saying, make wise decisions and so forth. And so what I'm comparing and contrast today is Dave Ramsey's plan versus Robert Kiyosaki's idea. And so these two people, like, they're polar opposites. That's why I'm like, okay, let's compare what they do and what their recommendations are. And so it's like this. So, like I said, let's start with Dave. So Dave Ramsey, you know what I'm saying, if you don't know him, he's a financial, let's say, guru, or his financial ability is to say, hey, live on less than you make, pay off all your debt, and build wealth with cash and not credit. Now, and so forth. So, like I said, Dave's plan to have your solid foundation and so forth, and keep you out of debt, and grow your wealth modestly. But then you have Robert Kiyosaki's plan is, hey, debt's good. And so use debt, leverage debt to buy assets and so forth. And so that also is a decent idea. Because, like I said, if you're gonna be, like I said, for instance, like let's take this for instance. And so say that, you know what I'm saying, I guess the best way to say this is to look at it like this. How fast do you want to do something? And that's the contrast between both of their plans. Pretty much breakdown is the contrast. And so Dave's gonna put you on a slower plan. So Dave gets you out of debt and have you save up your money to buy, like I said, rental properties. So let's say you wanna be a landlord and have rental properties. And so Dave wants you to save the cash, save up the cash to buy your rental properties and pay for it. And so, like I said, that's the slower way to do it. But I mean, maybe the return is higher. And then Robert's idea is that, okay, we can borrow money and to pay to buy real estate faster. And so say that you want, say 10 properties. So your idea, you ran your numbers and you say 10 properties does it for you. And that'll keep you enough income coming in and so forth. So Robert's way, you would borrow the money on 10 different properties. And then with borrowed money, you know, people talk about the tax breaks you get with the interest on these properties. Okay, but and then so you got that, for instance. Then you can look at, like, today's way. Dave will say, all right, buy one property with cash, and then use your cash plus your rental income to save up no more money to buy the next property, and so forth, and rinse and repeat that way. And so say that idea, Dave's plan, takes you 10 years, and to get you to 10 properties, or maybe it's 15 years. Because, like I said, you got to rinse and repeat and so forth. And so it takes you 10 to 15 years to grow your 10 properties. And say that with Robert's way, you can do the 10 properties in 5 years to 6 years. Now Robert's way got you stuff faster. But did it give you a better return is the question you have to ask. So like I said, if it's all about having the stuff faster, then Robert's way is the best way to do it. If it's about the actual return on investment and cash flow, maybe Dave's way is better. And what I mean by that is, okay, so now if you got to carry costs on all your properties if you go on the leverage way. And so say, for instance, you can rent out a property for $2,000 a month, and your carry is $1,500 a month. So that's a $500 spread on 10 properties, and you can say, hey, that's a good amount of money, and so forth. And like I said, you can keep going until you get them paid off, and so forth. So like I said, that's a faster way to do it. But then say if you do it the Dave Ramsey way, and you are like I said, you got the same properties, you can rent them out for $2,000 a month. You don't owe anything, so they're cash flowing the whole $2,000 versus cash flowing $500. Now, like I said, which way works for you? You gotta pretty much look at that and decide how fast you want stuff, and then two, what's the return you want. So I guess that's what you are having to divide. And so you can say, well, you get the tax benefit of carrying a mortgage on these properties and so forth. You can write off the interest and so forth. And I always say this when I hear that, I always look at it like this: you have to actually to get a write off on your taxes at the end of the year. You actually have to pay the money in. So would you want to give the bank whatever interest it is? So say off that $1,500 a month, and your interest payment is $200, and so you'll get back $2,400 at the end of the year. Was it worth it to pay the bank $2,400 just to get back $2,400? I mean, you gotta look at it. You gotta look at it on that end versus having no debt on the property and you not having to get that, but you won't get that return from the taxes at the end of the year. So then I guess it's value. You got to look at how much you value that tax return, if it's worth it or not, to get back $2,400, and then have your cost of $15, and then two, you got to also add in maintenance costs, turnover costs, and all the extra costs that all properties would have. Like I said, if you got $500 margin in the property, of equity of cash flow in the property versus $2,000, and the water heater breaks, and then say the water heater is $400 or $500. Now you technically in the leverage side, you lost a month of rent of profit in the rent versus if you have that same $2,000 that you're getting and you spend $5, you still are positive cash flow on that particular unit. So like I say, it's all about how you look at it. And then let's do this. Let's cut to these guys tell you. And so like I said, my opinion on it is neither one of them are wrong, and neither one of them are 100% right on. Like I said, it's like I said, you gotta look at you gotta look at both of these situations on what's your comfort level. Like I said, if you so for instance, right, you look at the sky, you see clouds and the shapes of the clouds, whatever, and you see a bird, and somebody else sees a frog, and so forth. So it's pretty much like that. What you see within these two groups and these two ideas, and so forth. And like I said, and also what poses your risk profile. Like I said, sitting on a bunch of debt, some people can't sleep at night, and some people look at debt as a tool and they rationalize that tool as it's just a tool and it doesn't bother me and so forth. Or, you look at it, I love to have cash flow, no bills, no payments, no nothing. You know what I'm saying? So that's another way of looking at it. And so, like I said, at the end of the day, working man, on these financial devices and so forth, I would say whatever fits your comfort zone. And then let me add this part right here. Matter of fact, like, subscribe, and it helps the channel out. So like, subscribe, Working Man Committee. But like I said, and the part that here, I'm gonna add this part in here. I've seen on the old interweb, and so some people using credit card. That's high interest debt to do this thing. Don't do that. I wouldn't recommend that. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just a working man here. But like I said, using a credit card at 28% interest to do anything is ridiculous. So like I said, make sure you pay your credit card at the end of the month. But anyway, like I said, Dave Ramsey's way isn't wrong or necessary, right? Robert Kiyosaki, idea isn't wrong or isn't necessary, right? So, like I said, working man, when you think about want to go down that road of creating, building, and so forth, I want you to understand that there's risk involved, and wanted you to understand that hey, sometimes it might be better to do Dave's way, but if you want to, like I said, you want the faster way to do it, hey, do Robert's way or do a blend of both. But with that being said, this has been the Working Man Committee Podcast. I am your host, Brandon T, and appreciate y'all for listening to this financial ideas and so forth. And I'll see you later. Peace.